With the 29th pick in the 2020 NFL
Here's the pick, y'all.
The Tennessee Titans select Isaiah Wilson, tackle, Georgia.
Who?
They're going beef, so that's the second offensive lineman from Georgia.
Who the f*** is Isaiah Wilson?
Go much earlier. Now they go guard with Isaiah Wilson. So many of those offensive linemen out of Georgia.
Hey, yo, what the f***?
Some of the best in the country. At one point, their offensive line this season just absolutely looks massive. Mel, what do we like about Isaiah Wilson?
Who the f***?
He has 6'6", 350. Huge.
He Millie rocking out here.
He is, and Isaiah Wilson.
Oh, that's a big boy.
But as a run blocker, can be dominant driving off the ball when he has the proper leverage. Again, capable of getting to the second level. Results are a little mixed at times. And pass protection, he has decent feet.
Like, I'm not angry about the pick, but
DJ, when you look at Isaiah Wilson, I think another year would have helped him. He's raw. They had Dennis Kelly there at right tackle. They can maybe challenge or be a guy that can learn from.
I mean,
obviously taking over Conklin. So I think he needed another year. He's a little bit of a developmental guy.
I don't know what to say. He's a good lineman. I'm sure he's a good lineman, but you know what? I'm not gonna question John Robinson. I don't know a lot about this guy, but like when they drafted Jeffrey Simmons, I didn't know a whole lot about him either. And I was like, what the fuck about that pick too? I'm going to let this one play out. I'm kind of, I don't know, like what's, he's a big boy. Like, don't get me wrong. He could be a freaking mauler on the right side of the line. But hello there, beautiful people. Caz here. Welcome back to Crayniaq Gaming. And I just wanted to show you guys my initial reaction to the Tennessee Titans spending the 29th overall selection in the 2020 NFL Draft on Isaiah Wilson, the offensive tackle out of Georgia. And now I'm ready to talk about it a little bit more. I was able to finally unpack it a little bit, and I actually like the pick. I feel like picking him definitely filled a need that Tennessee had. Of course, Jack Conklin left to go to the Cleveland Browns in free agency. So there was a big hole at right tackle. And granted, Tennessee did re-sign Dennis Kelly, and they also signed Ty Sambrailo from the Atlanta Falcons. But neither of these guys are really quality starters as far as like a full 16-game season goes. I think Dennis Kelly is a great spot starter. He's been that way ever since we traded for him. But for him to actually start a full 16-game season... So the Titans went out and got somebody that really fits the mold of what they like to do with the football, and that's run the ball. He was a right tackle at Georgia. Of course, Andrew Thomas, who was picked 4th overall by the New York Giants, was on the left side of the line. Wilson is an absolute mauler. He's 6'6", 350 pounds. He's going to maul a lot of undersized edge rushers, and that's exactly what Tennessee needs. I wouldn't say that Conklin was really a mauler, but Conklin was a pretty damn good run blocker for the most part. But you get a guy who's about 25 pounds heavier than Conklin, and he might not be as fast as Jack Conklin is, but he's definitely a lot more physical in my opinion. Now, you can teach somebody how to be a better run blocker or a better pass blocker, but you can't teach physicality, and this man has a lot of it. Now, the one thing that people might complain about when it comes to Isaiah Wilson is that he only played 2 seasons at Georgia. So, some people might say that that might be cause for concern, but honestly, I think that's a double-edged sword because, yeah, maybe he doesn't have as much experience as other guys who got drafted, but there's a lot more upside to Wilson's game, and I think that could serve him well. I think there are a lot of really good guys in that locker room we can learn from, like Taylor Lewan, Roger Saffold, Dennis Kelly, Ben Jones, of course. And maybe if Nate Davis struggles at right guard, you can bump Kelly inside and then put Wilson as a starter at right tackle. I mean, there are plenty of options, but I think this is a really good pick for the Tennessee Titans. I think that it shows that they still care about re-signing Derrick Henry because you get a mauler like that to replace Conklin. You're definitely thinking about the run game, and he's still a pretty good pass blocker as well, so you're definitely thinking about Ryan Tannehill in this regard. A lot of people were saying that the Titans have to keep in mind what benefits Tannehill the most, and why not? You're paying him tons of money over the next 4 years, at least the next 3 years, and of course the goal is still to bring Derrick Henry back. And I think drafting a guy like Wilson to replace Conklin definitely shows that Tennessee cares about both Tannehill and Henry and the offense in general. So now you look ahead at day 2 of the NFL draft. The Titans do have a second and a third round pick. And the Titans do have a lot of options. They could go edge rusher. You got to think that Julian Okwara or Terrell Lewis will still be available at 61. I don't think AJ Epineza or Yetur Gross-Matos will be there, so those guys are probably out of the question at this point. You could go running back. I don't think that DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, or Jonathan Taylor will drop to 61. Cam Akers possibly could. But Tennessee has a lot of options. Maybe they go corner. I'm not quite sure. But overall, I really do like the pick of Isaiah Wilson. But now to cover the rest of the draft really quickly, there were really no big surprises in the first 4 picks. Although I do think Detroit probably could have traded back and still got Okudah and some more draft capital for the 3rd overall pick. I think that definitely filled a need for them. But 5, 6, no surprises there either. Tua went to the Dolphins. Herbert went to the Chargers. 7, 8, 9, no real surprises either. Derek Brown went to the Panthers. Isaiah Simmons to the Cardinals. CJ Henderson to the Jaguars, unfortunately. And then Jedrick Wills went to the Cleveland Browns. Hopefully they finally have their replacement for Joe Thomas. The real surprise came at 11 when the Jets picked Mekhi Becton. I personally like that they got an offensive lineman because they really needed the help, although I'm not quite sure about picking Becton over Tristan Wirfs just because he had a good combine, just because of his size. I mean, it could end up panning out for the Jets, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. The Raiders taking Henry Ruggs was kind of a head-scratcher with Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb sitting at number 12. Ruggs is just kind of all speed for the most part, so it's kind of a head-scratcher to me when Judy's probably the best route runner and has some damn good speed himself. The Buccaneers ended up trading up to 13 from 14 and picking up Tristan Wirfs. I mean, Brady's an old man. They had to get somebody to protect him, so there you go. The Niners traded back to pick up Javon Kinlaw, which was kind of a head-scratcher because they needed a receiver. So I think Jerry Jeudy would have been a better pick there, but Kinlaw definitely fills a need because they did trade away DeForest Buckner. Jerry Jeudy ended up going to the Broncos. I think that's a great pick. That's going to be a scary tandem. I mean, you got Courtland Sutton, of course. Now you got Jerry Jeudy. You still have Noah Fant as well. The Broncos passing game is going to be pretty scary in the next few years. Then the Falcons really reached on AJ Terrell. I thought there were a lot of other corners who were much better. Now, I know AJ Terrell had a bad fever in the national championship game, but he still got torched in that game. He still got torched in the Ohio State game, and I don't know if he was sick for that game too. I'm just not a big fan of him, but hey, I guess you do got to get some corners with Tom Brady and Drew Brees being in your division. The Cowboys ended up getting CeeDee Lamb, and now that passing game's looking absolutely disgusting. You got Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and now CeeDee Lamb. I mean, Dak has no excuses now. Dak has to ball out. The Dolphins got Austin Jackson at number 18. That was a really good pick for them because they definitely need some offensive line help. The Raiders ended up getting Damon Arnett, and that's probably the worst pick of this first round. The Terrell pick was pretty bad, but there are a lot of better corners out there than Arnett. I think the Raiders really reached for him, but then again, he is an Ohio State corner, so maybe he'll end up panning out. The Jaguars ended up picking up Clayvon Chason. Of course, they traded away Calais Campbell. Yannick Ngakoue probably isn't coming back to Jacksonville either, so they needed to get another edge rusher, and there you go. Chason ends up falling all the way to Jacksonville, and as a Titans fan, I'm absolutely disgusted. Number 21, the Eagles ended up picking up Jalen Reagor, the son of Monte Reagor, the former defensive lineman who played for the Colts and won a Super Bowl with them. I'm not very high on Reagor. He might end up being a really good pick, but Philly could have got him later in the draft, so honestly, they were better served just trading down from here to get Reagor. Number 22, the Vikings got Justin Jefferson. I mean, they traded away Stephon Diggs, so pretty much all they have at receiver is Adam Thielen. Tajay Sharp's at a number 2, so they had to get a solid number 2, and they got that in Jefferson. The Chargers ended up getting Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma, who fell all the way down to 23, which is kind of shocking to me, but a good pick for the Chargers. The Saints got Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan. I know some people thought they might go Jordan Love here, but they definitely needed to shore up that interior line. He can play center or guard, so this is definitely a good pick for the Saints. The Niners ended up getting Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. I'm not exactly fond of the fact that they traded up to get him, but I will say I think he has a good chance of being a really good receiver for them. Now, in a pick that I absolutely called, and you can go watch my VOD or whatever, I'll even clip it and put it into this video at the end. The Packers traded up and drafted Jordan Love. At first, I thought they were trading up to get T. Higgins, who had fallen all the way down here, and it still hasn't been drafted, by the way. But then I realized, you know, this is around the pick where they got Aaron Rodgers back when they had Brett Favre at quarterback. And Rodgers is around the age that Favre was when Rodgers was drafted. So this seems like a very similar thing. I know people aren't as high on Jordan Love as they were on Aaron Rodgers, but you could argue that Jordan Love is probably a better prospect than Aaron Rodgers was, in some people's eyes at least. I don't really know for sure. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I don't know whether or not Love is a better prospect than Rodgers was, but there you go, Green Bay. You got your quarterback of the future, and he doesn't have to start right away. The Packers can sit him for a year or two, let Rodgers kind of play out his final few years in Green Bay before going to Love. So the Seahawks actually didn't trade their first round pick for once, and they pick up Jordan Brooks out of Texas Tech. I think he's a second round talent. I'm kind of surprised that they picked him instead of Patrick Queen. But he's still very talented, and truth be told, time's running out for Bobby Wagner. I just think that Patrick Queen would have been the better pick. And speaking of which, the Ravens ended up picking him at number 28. So they finally got their replacement for CJ Mosley. I really like Patrick Queen a lot. He could have been drafted earlier in this draft, and I wouldn't have too big of a problem with it. But a very solid pick for the Baltimore Ravens. And now at number 30, the Dolphins traded back to 30 to pick Noah Igbinoghene, I think is how you say his name, the cornerback out of Auburn. This is a really bad pick, honestly. This could arguably be like the second worst pick in the first round of this draft. I don't think this pick is very good at all. I mean, the Dolphins already spent a lot of money on Byron Jones. They could have gone running back. I would have been fine with that. But instead, they get a corner that they really don't need, which is confusing to me. Then the Vikings ended up drafting, with the pick that they got from the 49ers, Jeff Gladney out of TCU. Apparently the Chiefs really wanted to get him, so this is kind of heartbreaking for them. But a very good pick for the Vikings. They really needed cornerback help. And with the last pick of the first round in the 2020 draft, the Kansas City Chiefs drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of LSU. So Clyde ends up being the first running back off the board, which is kind of surprising to me, but not really. It's only surprising because nobody else picked a running back in the first round. This is a perfect fit for the Chiefs. The Chiefs definitely needed a running back who could catch passes out of the backfield, and that is Clyde Edwards-Helaire to a T. I was really hoping Tennessee would have a shot at getting him in the second round, but clearly it wasn't meant to be. So good pick for the Chiefs. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If your team had a first round pick or multiple first round picks, let me know in the comments section what you thought of them. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the sub button if you're new as well. And you guys have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day and night whenever you're watching this. Like I always say, guys, no matter what happens, make sure you keep that mofo rolling. I love y'all 3,000. I'm out of 5,000. Deuces. What if they get Jordan Love? What if they get Love?
With the 26th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Jordan Love.
I called it. Hey, I hope somebody answered the motherfucking phone because I called it. I called it. I hope somebody, hey, I'm calling right now. Hey, I hope somebody answers the phone, bro, because I called it.